The moment that you realize that half of your personality traits are actually your trauma responses, it is going to bring you a great sense of clarity about who you are at the core without the effects of your trauma. The true self is who you are at the core of your existence, without fear, without conditioning, and with a desire to love and to be loved. Trauma forces you to suppress your true authentic self in order to protect yourself. Even though you may feel safe under this protective shield, but in reality, you're actually pretending to be okay because what's happening is that you are bottling up, you're piling up your emotions, but you're not getting rid of them. Your emotions and your thoughts pretty much exist. It's just that you don't feel safe to express them or show them to the outside world. So the more you get used to living under this protective shield, the more and more you're getting disconnected from your true authentic self, which are your thoughts, your emotions, your actual physiological reactions to experiences that you have. So basically, whenever you're getting triggered in a situation, you're actually getting exposed that you do have certain reactions, you do have certain thoughts, and you do have certain emotions about the situation that you were absolutely trying to cover up. No matter how good you are with your protective shield, and it may turn into your whole entire identity and personality, piling up your thoughts and emotions and suppressing your true authentic self is going to backfire in some sort of way. So it may show itself in physical pain, it may show itself in relationship issues, it may show itself in internal conflict. So you can't really go all your life living under this protective shield and with your trauma personality. It is going to come and get you and backfire in some sort of way. But if you look around, there are some people that would like to acknowledge that and would like to change things and finally remove the shield and finally look at themselves in the mirror and ask themselves who they really are. But majority of people, they rather stay safe and suffer because true self is aligned with your true emotion, desires, and needs, versus your trauma personality is aligned with your fears, insecurities, and traumas. True self seeks growth, evolving, and gaining new experiences. Your trauma self tries to keep you in one place and pretty much eliminate any new sort of experiences that could um, maybe potentially put you in danger, because that's what trauma self only thinks about and cares about, to protect you. But your true self not only wants to protect you but also wants you to grow, wants you to evolve, and wants you to have all these new experiences. Basically, it wants you to leave. Take a look at your patterns in your life. How do you usually react to stressful situations? How do you present yourself when you're meeting new people? How do you maintain your relationships? How do you make your life decisions? What are some of the ways that you handle important tasks and performances in your job and in your life? And if you really look at the intention of these patterns, what are these patterns are trying to do for you? Are they trying to protect you, or are they trying to teach you something? Are they really there to help you grow, help you evolve? So I'm going to give you some examples for you to differentiate between your true self and your trauma self. The true self often lives in the present moment, does not bother to think about the past, and does not bother to worry about the future. The true self only cares about here and now and what you can do in this moment, because this moment is all you have, you know. Versus your trauma self is often dwelling in the past or worrying about the future because either is trying to protect you from something that could go wrong, or is trying to resolve or fix something that happened in the past. So the trauma self does not really know how to stay focused and live in the moment. The true self makes conscious choices. It has no problem eliminating things that no longer um, serving us or no longer are beneficial for us. Instead, the trauma self really struggles with making healthy decisions because it keeps repeating all negative patterns because it cannot really let go of the past. Your true self lives accord with your primary needs, your emotion, values, and desires. Versus your trauma self really looks for reassurance and validations from the outside world. It looks where it can fit better to be safe and protected. True self has compassion and understanding not only for the self but for other people as well. Whereas the trauma self is judgmental, critical, and looks for fault, looks for things to nag about, looks for negative flaws in other people. True self relies on self love, authenticity, self trust, going with the flow. The trauma self relies on security, retaliation, looking for control. So I hope you got a general idea of how does your true authentic self looks like in real life versus how your trauma self really presents itself. The more you look for the signs of your trauma self, it is going to show up and you can see it more often. And the more you look for your true authentic self, you might see it, and you might, even if you don't engage in it, you might see it in other people. The key point here is to not judge yourself and quickly want to fix yourself, because that again is a trauma behavior. How would your higher self, your true authentic self, that higher best version of yourself would treat you? And unfortunately, a lot of us, we did not have this figure in our life to teach us. So we don't have the role model to think about how would a higher self behave in this situation or treat us in this situation. Start looking for this character in other people. If there is anyone in your life that you truly admire and they portray that true highest self for you, if there is any character in a movie, if there is any fictional character from a book, anyone that you can picture that your highest self really fits into their personality traits, right? So there you have yourself a true guideline where you can inherit some of this person's approaches, coping styles, and way of behaving by simply copying their behavior and mannerism. You are implementing some new ideas and new ways of dealing with situations in your brain. By just putting the focus back on yourself and trying to provide your unmet needs, slowly, your trauma and personality would start feeling useless, because if you are feeling internally safe, there is no point for your trauma self to get activated. For example, if your childhood need was to feel seen, feel validated, and that was kind of neglected, and now you're afraid of putting yourself out there, and instead your trauma self is trying to shield you from ever going out there and being exposed. Instead, think about what are some of the safest and healthiest way that I can provide for myself and feel validated and feel supported, without having to totally expose myself, right? What is the smallest step that I can take in order to provide for myself? Can I join a support group? Can I get help from a professional? Can I write about it? Can I journal about it? Can I, set healthy boundaries and talk about my emotions? Can I practice self validation and talking about my emotions with my loved ones and people who actually I know that care for me? Or otherwise, for example, if you were always limited and you were not given a chance to explore your talents or explore your needs of experiencing different, areas, this is something that you give yourself. Maybe I'm good at drawing, but I've never been given a chance. Maybe I'm good at singing. Maybe that's something I was really interested in swimming, but my parents never allowed me to, or I was interested in this, I was interested in that. So tap into, again, providing yourself those things that were taken away from you, chances that were taken away from you. So try to, as an adult, give yourself those chances back without having to completely, risking it, but just safest and smallest steps that you can take to just have your needs met. Another easy way of self rediscovery and kind of tackling your trauma personality is through mindfulness. Trauma forces you to be stuck in the past, right? So when you're trying to rediscover who you are, it's really important to be present in the moment. Because, like I said, true self lives in the moment and relies on evolvement and growth. So when you practice mindfulness and kind of bring your attention back into how are you feeling at the moment, it opens a very small gap that allows you to kind of tackle your trauma personality and question, what is it that I'm feeling right now that my trauma personality is going to cover it up for me? So mindfulness will really help you to, instead of reacting and protecting yourself to a situation, instead allowing yourself to have compassion and understanding of how you're really feeling at that moment. Because again, you see, true self relies on deep emotions, real emotions, versus trauma self covers them, right? So when you're trying to rediscover your true self, you want to push that, you want to create that small pause in the moment right before you react to a situation, which is usually your automatic trauma response, right? So instead of doing that, you want to pause and take a breath and bring your attention back to your body, feeling what you're feeling, and asking yourself, do I really want this feeling to captivate me and stop me from being who I am? Do I really need to cover this up? Do I really need to protect myself from this just because I had certain experiences in the past, negative experiences in the past? Or do I have the capacity to respond to this situation differently? Right? Sometimes you may not be able to do that, and you may relapse and go back to your trauma self. That is okay. It's all about practice. The more you practice this, that space is going to get wider and wider and create more space and time for you to, instead of reacting, respond to situations. So it's all about practice, consciousness, mindfulness, and guiding yourself to be in an environment and surrounded by people that will remind you of your true self rather than triggering you of your trauma self. There are numerous other ways that you can actually separate your true authentic self and your trauma self. Inner child healing and reparenting is another great way of self rediscovery and kind of creating that different realities for yourself. I will talk about that in my next video. If you guys are interested, please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please support my channel by giving like, comment, subscribe, and share. It will really mean a lot for my channel because I have so much more to share with you guys. Take care for now, and I'll see you on my next video.